And Melissa, take us back to the beginning. What happened here?
Well, I'm standing right in the alley where that happened just after 2 o'clock. If you look back where that dumpster is, that's about the area where this started. Call first came in as a shooting. Police officers on scene later realized it was an armed robbery. They say the victim, as you mentioned, shot the suspect. That suspect is currently in the hospital. Now, there was believed to be 2 other people there. They took off on foot. That is when officers fired shots. Important to note that officers did not actually hit anybody. The only person shot was the alleged suspect who was shot by that victim. And as you mentioned, Police Chief Alan Crump was on scene. We haven't learned all that much about why he was on scene or what officers were involved in that chase and the shots fired.
Chief Crump was amongst many officers, as myself, that were on scene. So his role and the role of all those other officers hasn't been determined right now.
Of course, this investigation is ongoing. We will bring you any updates as we get them. Again, there are 2 in custody, one that was shot in custody at University Health, the other that was caught during that pursuit, but a 3rd person still on the loose. So if you have any information, you are being asked to call Crime Stoppers. Again, the officers involved in the pursuit have not been named, but there is a protocol that they'll be undergoing involving interviewing and paperwork. So we will bring you up to date as soon as we learn any new information. Doug and Dom.
All right, KSLA News 12 Stacey Cameron. He's been following investigators and officers from scene to scene as they've been gathering evidence. He's lying over on Hearn Avenue near Murray Street. Stacey, update us from your spot.
Well, Doug, this crime scene tape just taken down about 45 minutes to an hour ago. They had about 3 blocks here on Hearn from Murray to Corbett completely blocked off. It's just here on Hearn where Police Chief Alan Crump was seen on the scene and was taken away for a brief time by a detective with the Shreveport Police Department. He did return, but as I came down the street here on Murray, I started talking to witnesses who tell me they heard several shots fired, and when they looked out of their yards just down here, they saw Shreveport police chasing a suspect. There's a bush just down here about 4 houses down the street where he was taken into custody. Now, detectives have recently returned to this scene after combing this area for about 2.5 to 3 hours. I'm told by people living here they've been approached by police. Police are looking for a weapon. We haven't seen them take any weapons from one of the houses, but they are inside one of the homes right now. We can also say that back up here at Corbett, there was a marking of evidence there too. Now, we don't have any ID on the suspect who was taken into custody here, although we do know that is one of the 3 people allegedly involved in this shooting. We'll continue to work this scene for more witnesses and evidence as it becomes available. Doug?
We are still trying to learn more information about a 7-year-old boy that got swept away in a ditch. It happened around 3 this afternoon in the 3900 block of Orla Avenue. About 30 emergency units now on the scene. We're going to join KSLA News 12's Melissa Kakarika on the scene. And Melissa, anything changed?
Unfortunately, Dom, we've not gotten any updates from authorities at this point. It is still very active, and they are presumably still searching for this young boy. About 7 years old is what we're told, definitely under 10. He was playing or swimming in this drainage ditch when his mom called the Shreveport Fire Department, called 911 to say that she had lost sight of him. And since then, the search has been going on. We just saw some trucks from the Water and Sewer Department come through. We know that Shreveport Fire and Police are working with them to figure out where this drain goes to and where the boy may have come up. There's also swift water technicians, divers, pretty much everyone you could imagine on scene here searching for this boy. We saw Police Chief Alan Crump, officials with the fire department, lots of emergency responders looking for this young boy. But as of right now, he has not been found as far as we know.
We are asking God for a miracle here.
This has been going on for about an hour. They shut down Hearn Avenue. They've had firefighters go down in that hole.
Our faith remains in Almighty God.
I wanted to share just a little bit of my conversation with Mary, Deshawn's mother. She says she jumped in. The current's so strong, she says it was slapping her to the side walls.
She has made sure that we have had every resource that we need to conduct operations that have been ongoing.
Another night of concern, prayers, and hope as the search for 7-year-old Deshaun Combs continues.
Nearly 30 hours of searching from first responders alone. Many volunteer community members have added to that. Police canines, wildlife and fisheries, the fire department, and police. The resources used to find this missing child continues to grow after being swept away in a flooded ditch yesterday.
KSLA News 12's Jeff Farrell highlights today's recovery efforts and how city leaders and residents are hopeful to find Deshaun.
As we're placing the full extent of our resources toward this effort, our faith remains in Almighty God.
Mayor Ollie Tyler addressed the media on the second day of searching for 7-year-old Deshaun Combs, believed to have been swept away in a rain-swollen ditch in Shreveport's Ingleside neighborhood Tuesday afternoon. Since then, more than 100 emergency and law enforcement personnel, along with city crews, as well as parish and state agencies, have all pitched in to help in the search effort.
I'd like to thank all the agencies that have been involved in helping us with this event and these search and rescue operations.
While police and fire officials have urged the public to let them do the actual searching in the often treacherous conditions in and around city ditches and drains, they also wanted to thank the citizens.
They have been very helpful, been offering their eyes and as much as they could to assist. So just seeing that concern from the community and wanting to help is a great plus and comfort to us.
Not long after the mayor's news conference wrapped up, friends, family, and community members all came together for a vigil in front of Christ Temple Ministries, not far from the site where Deshaun was last seen.
And I know God knows what's going on.
Just down the road near Hearn and Midway at about the same time, an impromptu prayer took place where some of the most intense search efforts took place on this day.
We are asking God for a miracle here.
And authorities and civilians alike vow to keep searching until Deshaun is found. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12.
Police and fire officials both confirmed that search efforts wrapped up at dark and will resume at first light on Thursday morning.
Also today, Deshaun's mother talked with me about the moment she realized he may have fallen in and the overwhelming manpower and volunteers hunting for her son. Mary Edmond wasn't up to being interviewed, but she wanted to share with me, to share with you how thankful she is for everyone who has been searching, from those first responders to countless volunteers. She also told me after seeing his shoes by that flooded culvert, those shoes right there, she jumped in trying to find him. She showed me scars on her legs, which she said is from the fast current slamming up against the brush and the concrete walls. And she prays the search continues until he is found. And as we heard at today's news conference, they'll be back out searching again at daybreak.
And just to take a look at the latest of what we know right now and what has happened with this search so far, fire officials believe Deshaun Combs was swept into the ditch around 2:45 yesterday afternoon on Orla Avenue. They deployed cameras underground to try to locate him. Eventually, the search moved to Brush Bayou, where the water drains and other places were searched. Right now, at least 7 agencies are participating in the search for the 7-year-old.
Jeff Castle joins us now. And Jeff, we talked about it yesterday. Boy, the rain was intense. It wasn't long lasting, though. The swift water, we hear a lot about how fast that water was moving. You've been looking at the rain amounts and have found some extreme numbers about how much water the drainage systems were trying to move through that neighborhood Tuesday when Deshaun reportedly fell in that ditch.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Doug, and I think the numbers are going to shock a lot of you when I show them to you. Now, in the part of town where all this transpired, the rain amounts were not impressive. Only around 1/4 inch of rain here around Orla Avenue as we headed through the afternoon hours on Tuesday. But you consider that 1/4 inch, it came in a short period of time, about 30 minutes or so. And when you look at the amount of water that generated within half a mile of Orla Avenue, we're talking about more than 1 million gallons of water that the drainage system was trying to take away. And if you kind of expand out here just a little bit, a little more rain fell north and east of the area. And if you account for that and average it all out, we're talking in this general area almost 9 million gallons of water coming down out of the sky in about 30 minutes.
Breaking news again, they do believe they have confirmed that they've recovered the body of who they believe is the missing 7-year-old Deshaun Combes, who've been missing since Tuesday afternoon. A lot of people in our community really hoping that this will provide at least some closure to such a tragic, heartbreaking story. It's touched a lot of people. A lot of people have been hoping that they could make a recovery of this little boy. Let's go ahead and toss it over to KSLA News 12's Nicolette Schleisman, who is live on Mansfield Road as well. Nicolette, what's happening where you are right now?
Yeah, well, I'm not too far from where Josh is right now, but there is a large crowd of people here. Some of them have just left, but as we learned that there was a body found believed to be of the missing 7-year-old, I could hear audible crying. People are very, very sad and upset learning this terrible news. The coroner's van just drove off within the last few minutes, not even minutes, probably seconds, and you can see kind of across the street there's a large presence of fire and police talking with each other over there. Again, this has a very hard time for the community because a lot of people were very concerned and very active in the search for missing 7-year-old Deshaun Combes, and we're hoping for some miracle today. But again, Shreveport Fire Department has confirmed that they have found a body believed to be of the missing 7-year-old, but they will not know for sure until there is a coroner's autopsy on that body. But again, this is not the outcome that a lot of people were hoping for out here. Marie?
All right, thank you very much, Nicolette. Now, let's go ahead and give you a timeline of how this whole thing started. It all started Tuesday afternoon. That's when Shreveport first responders began rescue efforts. There was heavy rain in the area at the time they went missing. The boy's mother called 911 when she found his shoes near a drainage ditch. Crews searched all day Wednesday from where the boy went missing to Brush Bayou, and that's where all the rainwater drains. Now, we've been covering this story since we first broke it Tuesday afternoon.
Our own Doug Warner is with the firefighters in Port Arthur. Doug, what's going on right now?
Well, we had caught up with Shreveport Fire Department on another part of Port Arthur. As you can see, we're literally in right now about knee-high water. When they were clearing other neighborhoods, we're going to keep the camera on these guys as much as possible. They got a call to come over here, a 911 call, concerned about maybe an elderly person in a home. In a sense, this is kind of like a second door knock. They're going through checking, clearing, making sure everything is okay. But some kind of 911 call came in here. And sorry, a little out of breath. It's been a workout walking through this water. And so they've been responding to some of these calls, and that's what they're doing here. You tell me. I mean, earlier you were doing the same thing in another neighborhood, and so now it's a process of going out and just documenting each of these homes that you check.
That's affirmative. What we're doing is they have reports of possible rescues at some point in time during this particular emergency. Nobody documented if they were rescued or not. So what we're doing a second search. We're going just to make sure everybody's out, and we have to document the type of damage to that resident, how bad it really looks and whatnot, stuff like that.
And that's important. I mean, and down to the point that you're taking pictures of these homes because you don't want anybody missed in this process.
That's affirmative. We're trying a new, it's a particular app they come out with, and we're trying it out, and it's heavily documented from pictures to damages to square footage just by taking a picture.
Why do you do this? I mean, here you are. You're not even doing this. You're part of urban search and rescue in another state, 4 or 5 hours away.
I was called upon. This is what I'm here to do. With Shreveport Fire Department, we're here to help everybody in the city of Shreveport, as well as our neighbors and neighboring communities and neighboring states.
All right, firefighter Logan Kerr, thank you for what you do. All these guys, what they're doing, keeping in constant radio communication, where there's like a main command center that's kind of really been dispatching them out. We've seen firefighters from Nacogdoches here. We followed them on a response last night on a fire. We saw a crew that was working a shelter from the Dallas area. So this is truly, when you hear about mutual aid, well, sometimes a neighboring city might help the other one. This is like neighboring states helping one another on a grand scale. Again, this is a flooded neighborhood, literally water up to where we're standing, a little deeper, up to over our knees. Shreveport's finest right here, walking the flooded streets of Port Arthur, and we're here right with them every step of the way. We've got live reports coming up a little later on this afternoon, not only on Facebook as this continues to develop on the KSLA News 12 Facebook page, but also coming up at 5 and 6 o'clock. We're going to continue walking this. If anything develops, we'll holler back at you. We're going to probably return to KSLA News 12 Facebook page in a bit. This is Shreveport Fire Department we're walking with live in Port Arthur. Doug Warner, KSLA News 12.
You can help our neighbors affected by Harvey.
We got 3 trucks here behind us that need to be filled up with supplies. $1,000 cash.
These are the trucks with your donations on it.
I, too, will dig through your center console looking for nickels, dimes, pennies.
Drop off some cash. That's right here in the bucket.
The Community Foundation of North Louisiana is happy to match all the gifts that were raised today.
A single donation of nearly $2,000.
All the way to the general manager out here. That number now up to $38,000.
Let's take a closer look at the path of totality provided to us by NASA. As we zoom into the map of North America, you can see there that black dot's going to come to the left part of your screen. It represents the path of totality. You see there, it's going to go through Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska. It's going to end up in Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, and North Carolina. Again, the best time to view the eclipse right here in Shreveport Bossier is about 1:17. And if you don't have those glasses, some are being given out at a few different watch parties across the area. Right now, there is one going on at Twisted Route Airline Drive in Bossier City, and that's where our Nick Lawton is live. We checked in with him about 15 minutes ago, and there was a long line going into that building. Nick's already got his glasses on right now just to be safe. The question is, are they out of glasses? I know, Nick, you said they had about 250 or so, but that line was pretty long. What's it looking like there now? Let's head up to Texarkana, where it is peak time for them in north of the area, where Jasmine Payute is standing by. Jasmine, 1:14 right now, right around the peak time for you guys. And tell us exactly what it's looking like. I know the kids are excited. They're ready and waiting to look up.
Shane, we are live here at Trice Renaissance Elementary School where the kids are ready. I'm ready. We are excited. We have less than a minute before it hits peak time. That means the sun will be covered up to 80% by the moon. Now, we're excited, but it's the kids who are really getting an experience that they're learning so much from. I'm joined with 4th graders India, Alexandria, and Anna Jo, and they tell me they're pumped up. Guys, are you excited?
Yes.
Tell me about today. What happened today?
Well, like this, it's like the sun is like a moon, like just like a quarter of it, and the moon is a full, and it's like covering up the sun, but not fully, and it really looks like it's going to be a full one this year, like right now, but they said it was in 7 years.
Oh, what did it look like to you?
Well, it looked like a smile because it was like a half moon, but it was instead of a half sun, and it was just really cool.
Jemiah is in Arlington, Texas. If you're just joining us, this is my son. He FaceTimed me. He tried to show me exactly what he was doing. He made one of those cereal box pinhole projectors, and he says about half the sun is gone where he's at. So, Jemiah, you're not going to get the entire eclipse where you're at, but you did a good job. Daddy's proud of you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Live TV, gotta love it. All right, let's head back out to Marie Waxler now. She is, what is Marie doing? Marie's dancing?
You know why we're dancing out here, Shane? Because we surpassed the number that we needed to set the world record. So all we're waiting for right now is to get this astronomy lesson underway. We've got more than 1,100 students, faculty, staff, parents taking the day off to really enjoy this historical moment with their kids today. You can see all of them jumping up right now, excited to be here, excited to be a part of history.
And he's going to put his glasses on. See, he was tempted to do it too. Yeah. Tempted to take a quick peek up there, but he did. He put his glasses on. And Jeff, how's it looking? Almost 127.
That's right. We are approaching totality, and as soon as it happens, you're going to see me step out of this shot. I don't know if you can tell. Again, we've not changed any settings on the camera, but it is getting noticeably darker and darker here in Nashville. And again, we expect day to go to night here in the next 2 minutes as totality is about to occur. And as I step back in here, and I think we're going to hold the clouds off, or they're close. We're probably at 98% coverage. And again, I don't know if you can tell, but the picture, I'm not in shadow. Well, technically I am, the moon shadow. But getting noticeably darker and darker. In fact, I can see it getting darker as we speak. The lights on the outside of the building, some of the lights here in the parking lot, they've already come on. In fact, as we look off to the north, sky looks even darker in that direction. So again, we are almost there here in Nashville. This is just amazing to see. Again, total darkness, nighttime sort of darkness, twilight, about ready to set in here. And again, I'm going to step out of the shot. You're just going to be able to see everyone's reaction as it continues to get even darker here in Nashville. Oh, wow. You can even see the edge of the moon now. Still don't want to look at it without your eclipse glasses, but we are seconds away. We are seconds away. You can hear the cheering. Here we go. Oh my
God.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This is the most spectacular thing.
That is beautiful. Look.
Oh my goodness. We are seeing again.
Wow.
Total eclipse.
Wow.
It is 1:28 in the afternoon in Nashville, and this is the sky right now.
The Shreveport family says that they've heard nothing from the Bossier City Police Department after their daughter was mauled by a police canine while chasing a suspect. I sat down with the family and also uncovered a checkered past for this dog in question. We do want to warn you, if you have kids at home nearby, some of the images you're about to see are graphic. And this morning's KSLA News 12 Investigates Get Right On It report. Police chases, they can be unpredictable, dangerous, and even deadly. Stopping and catching a dangerous suspect is no easy task for police. And sometimes those car chases end in foot chases, causing police to call in the canines. Saturday, April 1st, 2017, just after 9 o'clock at night, a few parents and their kids had just left a birthday party at the Stone Vista Apartments in Shreveport.
It's like no less than 8 vehicles behind this car, police vehicles behind the car.
Bossier City Police had attempted to stop a car on East Texas Street for driving with no head or taillights, but the driver took off, leading Bossier officers on a high-speed chase across the Red River and into Shreveport and onto Easy Street in Stoner Hill.
That's when I seen the suspect car and the cops. Okay. After they passed and went all the way up, that's when we crossed the street.
Solomon Coley was one of those parents walking his 3- and 5-year-old daughters back home to Acorn Street, a block over from Easy Street.
So we crossed the street, that's when I seen the dude coming out the gate. Now, he had jumped out the car on the hill.
Solomon says one of the suspects who had ditched the car ran from police and headed straight for him and his 2 baby girls, with a Bossier City Police canine in chase.
Him and the dog, they come out the apartments. Like, they couldn't see the dog, they couldn't see him. Right. So they couldn't see what was going on right here.
She said, calm down, calm down. Jewel just got bit, which is my 5-year-old. Jewel just got bit by a police canine dog. Instantly, I'm like, huh? What?
Their 5-year-old daughter, Jewel, had been attacked and bitten by Bossier City canine officer Torres.
It's like shooting a loaded gun into a crowd of people.
Instead of the dog pursuing him, the dog attacked my daughter. Like my daughter was in the way or something.
Solomon says he immediately reached down and held Torres from shaking Jewel side to side for what seemed like an eternity. So when the police dog attacked your daughter, the handler wasn't in sight. You didn't see the handler.
No cop was in sight. No cop was in sight for a while.
He says after multiple attempts, Officer Chad Boyette, who had released Torres, eventually got the dog to let go, but the damage was done. Torres ripped through little Jewel's flesh. This puncture wound, a dark reminder for a father who at the time didn't know if his baby girl was alive or dead.
It was a sound she was making. I don't really even know how to describe the sound.
The family said they have made several attempts to get answers from Bossier City Police with no response. Then they reached out to our investigative team.
I feel like they left me and her mama, like alone to deal with this situation.
The department declined a sit-down interview with us, citing a potential for litigation. Instead, we were given a report on the incident, but their account of what happened was much different than Solomon's. The report stated Officer Boyette, quote, performed a visual scan of the area for innocent bystanders and none were observed in the immediate area.
That's a lie. Everybody outside, you just let this dog run free.
It also says Torres engaged the suspect, but the first bite was unsuccessful. The suspect took off again. They say it was then when Torres bit Jewel.
That report is a lie. All the way around.
Bossier City Police say there have been 14 dog bite incidents with their canines in the past 3 years, out of 8,700 calls for service. Torres was involved in 4 of those incidents.
This dog has attacked another victim before this one.
March 2015, in this Bossier City neighborhood, reports show the same police canine, Torres, bit a Parkway High School student as he was jumping over a fence, leaving the scene of an altercation he says he was a bystander in. Torres pulled the teen off the fence, but when the teen was on the ground and in custody, the report says Torres spun out of his handler's grip and bit the teen again, this time in his face and on his arm. Nelson Cameron is the teen's attorney.
The dog should not be on the police force. Number one, that's an easy answer, very easy answer. This dog should not be on a police force. It should not be engaged in police activities.
The teen sued the city of Bossier, and the case was settled out of court for $23,500. Nelson says the charges against the teen were dropped, and police's silence in Jewel's case does not surprise him.
It doesn't surprise me from the culture that you have there in the police department. The police department should show some compassion for a 5-year-old girl who's mauled by a police dog.
And that's okay for the Bossier Parish Police Department, I guess. I guess it's okay that this dog is going to go around mauling people.
I feel like they could care less about my daughter. I'm pretty sure my daughter feels the same way.
I didn't even get, Miss Hall, I'm sorry. We're sorry this happened. Is there anything we can do? Send a balloon, send a bear, anything. Nothing.
This is a big one.
This is Jewel Coley today.
Okay.
Scars from that day, both seen and unseen.
That got me.
And what did the dog do?
Bite me.
What did it feel like?
It feels like fire. A little bit.
She wakes up screaming and hollering and crying in her sleep. The therapist actually diagnosed her with PTSD. A 5-year-old got PTSD.
The cost to buy and train police dogs varies. In Shreveport, handlers say the cost is almost $15,000 per dog. Jewel's mom has her own theory about why Torres is still on the force.
That one weapon that they invested that money into, they don't want to just let that go, because those are considered low-income apartments back there that you can do whatever you want to. That shouldn't be the case.
No owning up to it, Like I say, I expect the dog to be a dog, but I expect them to be human.
And now, Jewel just wants to put the nightmare behind her and get ready for her birthday party next month.
They fixed me up and they made me get better. And I'm okay now. I'm not gonna worry about it.
And the suspect Torres was chasing was eventually caught and booked on multiple charges. Bossier City Police says all of their dogs go through required weekly training. But Jewel's parents say they'd like Torres to be put down.
In Louisiana, under the controversial law, almost 1,900 prisoners in the Pelican State will get their prison sentences cut short beginning at midnight tonight.
KSLA has been digging into the criminal background of more than 60 inmates getting released starting November 1st from the Caddo Parish Jail. The Louisiana Department of Corrections gave KSLA a preliminary list of the Caddo prisoners going free under new criminal justice reforms signed by Governor John Bel Edwards that are intended to shorten prison terms of less serious offenders and reduce prison population. But examining this DOC document dated October 26th, I found something disturbing. 3 Caddo prisoners who pleaded guilty to felonies involving domestic violence were getting released just 2.5 months after their conviction. A list given to KSLA by the governor's office lists all the crimes of violence under Louisiana law. Felonies like murder, rape, aggravated kidnapping, and aggravated assault are all included. But remarkably, when it comes to domestic abuse battery against a dating partner or household member, it's only considered a violent crime if the victim was burned and seriously injured.
Now, after our first report uncovered a gap in state law, some legislators say they want to take a second look.
A third-time offender doesn't seem to get the hint.
The reaction of 2 local state representatives, Republican Larry Bagley,
Had no idea about that. I didn't know that language was in there.
and Democrat Cedric Glover.
That's something to me that is just counterintuitive.
Was bipartisan surprise after watching my report. Were getting released just 2.5 months after their conviction. And learning felony domestic abuse battery is not a crime of violence in Louisiana unless the victim is burned and seriously injured.
We can't accept that. No one wants to see a family member abused by their spouse.
After Glover watched my investigation, he was upset to discover Louisiana law prohibits domestic abusers from possessing a firearm, but it does not consider them violent offenders.
From my perspective, anything that involves something severe enough, profound enough, injurious enough to prevent you from being able to possess a weapon should in fact be considered a crime of violence.
Under state law, violent offenders get stiffer penalties, and now they must serve 65% of their sentence in prison. But since domestic abuse battery is not on the crimes of violence list, people convicted of that crime can get out of prison much earlier than other violent offenders.
You've got purse snatching on that list, you've got carjacking on that list, and yet you can strangle your wife and not be included on that list.
Mariah Winiski heads the Louisiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. She says domestic abuse can get seriously violent and still not be classified as a crime of violence.
If you used physical violence, so if you hit them, kick them, slap them, or strangle them, and it does not escalate to the point where a prosecutor could charge second-degree battery, for example, or aggravated assault or something like that, then it's not a crime of violence.
Because they are not deemed violent offenders, some inmates convicted of felony domestic abuse battery qualified for early release under new criminal justice reforms signed by Governor John Bel Edwards. And in fact, KSLA discovered 2 inmates pleading guilty to that crime for the 3rd time and got out of the Caddo Parish Jail just 2.5 months after their convictions.
I would just assume if you hit somebody in the face with your fist, which I know happens, that would be a violent act. Obviously, it's not.
At his office in Stonewall, Representative Bagley told me after watching my report he's interested in amending Louisiana law.
There's going to have to be some changing of the definition and interpretation of those laws, I think.
And expanding felony domestic abuse battery on the crimes of violence list. Representative Glover agrees.
And it is certainly something that I think warrants additional review, if not some attention in this upcoming legislative session.
And Winiski believes treating persons convicted of domestic abuse battery as violent offenders as soon as possible will save lives in Louisiana. Glover co-sponsored the criminal justice reforms and Bagley voted for them. But both say even if the reforms did not pass, they are now convinced Louisiana law needs to be changed to fully cover domestic abuse battery as a crime of violence. And they thank KSLA News 12 for bringing the problem to to their attention.
It's real out here on these streets.
It is not just a black problem. It is an all-people problem.
It should be everybody's responsibility. Just tell them, man, we got to step up. We got to be world changers because we have a future ahead of us that we can change. We can change everything, impact the whole world.
KSLA News 12 presents Taking Back Our Streets. Welcome to this special broadcast, Taking Back Our Streets. Violence is overtaking our communities. So far this year, Shreveport has had 14 homicides, and at this rate, we will surpass 2016 numbers. Last year, the number of homicides jumped to 46 from just 28 in 2015. I sat down with more than a dozen people representing different neighborhoods in Shreveport, people who say enough is enough and they want to see change.
What made you not want to, I think, succumb to the peer pressure of doing bad things when you were in middle school? Because we know in middle school is where
I did it, yeah. I did a lot of stuff, though. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not squeaky clean. And, like, I think that's when people can tell that you're not being real with them. Like, if I'm sitting there, hey, you don't need to do this and don't do that, and then they be like, why? I can tell you. I'm like, look, man, look, I done did the smoking, I done did the drinking, I done did a little, you know what I'm saying, trying to deal here and like, man, it's nothing. It's a dead end.
But
I've seen the results from it. Knowing that there is more to life than just thinking, okay, I need to just be right here in my neighborhood and make this little bit of money. Because people think that money is like what it is. This thing is going to get them some type of freedom or something, but it's not. It starts up here.
We're in Cedar Grove.
Yes.
Describe this neighborhood that you come and visit often because your relatives
It's a decent neighborhood. We just have a lot of crimes that go on, a lot of young people make bad decisions. It's not nothing to do for these babies out here. And if you look over here, this is called the streets. So everything they do is in the streets. They ride bicycles, streets. They play basketball, streets. They want to play football, streets. Everything they do, walking, talking, hanging in the streets.
Is that the excuse when shootings happen and for them to join that life or whatever? It's because I have to survive. I live in this neighborhood.
That's the excuse we use, but it's not an excuse. You know, you make that choice. I made that choice to want to sell drugs. I made that choice to want to run in somebody's house and take stuff out of their house. I made that choice to want to jump in people's cars and steal their car. I made that choice.
If something impacts one resident, it impacts all of us. And so the fact that I live in a primarily white neighborhood where we don't have those kinds of shootings every day, that doesn't matter anymore. What matters to me is the safety and the welfare of all of our citizens.
Let's talk about white privilege. I mean, I think that is definitely a hot topic now. People don't want to talk about it, though.
Who doesn't want to talk about it? White people? I'm happy to talk about it because I'm aware, and really it touches on the crime and violence issue we talked about earlier. I'm aware that I don't have to worry about seeing a police officer. I don't have to worry about being approached by an officer. I know if I see that person at an event, he or she is there to help me. I know if I'm stopped, I'm safe. You know, I'm going to talk to that officer, but I'm safe. I'm quite aware that people of color don't have that same sense of safety.
What would you say are your challenges?
Just getting out into the communities and trying to get the citizens to accept us, to accept what we do as law enforcement officers, to not be afraid of the uniform, to not be afraid of being seen talking to the police. We are in the communities, and can we be more visible? Probably so. But to say that we're not, it's down as such that it appear as though we're not doing anything, I take issue with that because our men and women are patrolling. The reason we were having 20 or 21, at the highest 28 homicides and the crime rates and a lot of things were down is because of the availability of those funds. When we saw an uptick in something, we could put together an operation and deal with it. We can put together.
Do that now?
Well, that's overtime money.
We started the conversation, and it must continue to find solutions. So we leave you with this question. What are you doing to make our neighborhoods safer? We want to share the efforts that could lead to safer communities. Email takingbackourstreets@ksla.com. We're going to keep asking those tough and difficult questions and hold those in our communities and those in power accountable.
Live with coverage you can count on. This is KSLA News 12 at 6.
I'm still working, and all of a sudden I hear gunshots. There was probably 5 or 6 that happened, kind of spread out.
We're hearing that the chief was involved. Chief Crump, can you confirm that?
The role of Chief Crump and all the other officers hadn't been determined right now. Next question.
It was right in our little driveway, right here where he was running by, and I guess that's where they were shooting at him.
Do y'all still have the security video?
Yeah, we do.
We're continuing our coverage tonight after the Shreveport Chief of Police, Alan Crump, was placed on paid leave following an officer-involved shooting. We've learned he fired his service weapon but missed an armed suspect after an attempted robbery yesterday.
Multiple sources told KSLA yesterday that Chief Crump and another officer had fired their weapons during that foot chase, and today police confirmed for us he and Shreveport Police Lieutenant Matthew Prunty are the ones who fired those shots. Tonight, we have surveillance video of that foot chase and more on the arrest of a third suspect. KSLA News 12's Melissa Kakarika live on the scene where Chief Crump and Lieutenant Prunty fired those shots, missing that suspect. More on that arrest and that new video in just a moment.
But first, we start with KSLA News 12's Nick Lawton live at Shreveport Police Department. And Nick, what are you hearing is the reason behind Chief Crump being placed on paid administrative leave?
Well, Shreveport Mayor Ollie Tyler issued a statement, Doug and Dominique, telling us that the chief was going to be placed on departmental leave with pay to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation. Now, all of this comes after yesterday afternoon when both Chief Crump and Police Lieutenant Matt Prunty were both chasing a suspect down Corbett Avenue. Officers report they were chasing a suspect who was connected to an attempted car burglary outside a business on Hollywood Avenue. Both Crump and Prunty fired at the suspect and missed. But we asked Shreveport officers and city officials why only Chief Crump was placed on leave and not Prunty as well. Public information officers with the department would not comment, but city officials told us current policy states paid departmental leave is only mandatory if an officer involved shooting injures or kills a suspect, and every other time it's considered discretionary. Now, Mayor Tyler's statement reads that Chief Crump's actions demonstrate his willingness to put his life on the line with his fellow officers, but because he is the head of the department, placing him on paid leave was appropriate to ensure a full investigation. For now, Deputy Chief Bill Gooden will assume control of the department pending the completion of the investigation. Reporting live outside the Shreveport Police Department, I'm Nick Lawton. Doug and Dominique, back to you.
All right, Nick, I want to give you a little background on both officers involved, starting with Police Chief Alan Crump. He was appointed chief last year after serving as interim chief for a few months. He started out as a patrolman back in 1992. He was previously involved in a shots fired call as an SRO, an officer in 2004 at a local high school. As for Lieutenant Matt Prunty, his time in the police force first began in 1992. In a unique situation, he left the force in 2013 for what was said to be a violation of departmental policy. It was later reinstated in 2014. Now, if the name Prunty sounds familiar, his twin brother, Tim Prunty, who was also a Shreveport police officer, was killed in the line of duty back in 2010.
New surveillance video is showing more of the events from the vehicle burglary and shooting and the chase where those shots were fired by Chief Crump and Lieutenant Prunty. We continue our team coverage tonight with KSLA News 12's Melissa Kakarika, who is back out in the neighborhood where the officers fired those shots and eventually caught the second suspect. Melissa.
Yes, I'm at Hearn and Murray. Now, this is where police officers reportedly spotted 17-year-old Darian Miles. Police say he matched the description of one of those suspects that fled that vehicle burglary over on Hollywood, and say he wouldn't stop for officers. That is when officers started to chase him. Take a look at this surveillance video we obtained from some of the leasing and office agents here at Port City Realty, showing part of that chase going through this area right here where I'm standing. Unclear exactly who we're seeing in the chase, but clearly this is part of the chase. And we heard from some of the people inside this realty business who say they heard the gunshots fired by officers as well.
They parked over here in front of the office, and then I'm still working, and all of a sudden I hear gunshots. There was probably 5 or 6 that happened, kind of spread out. The first 4 were really close together, and so I just immediately just went down to the ground and kind of waited until it got a little quiet.
Now, Miles was taken into custody and not hit by any of those shots. He's now in the Shreveport jail. Police also arrested 17-year-old Xavier Thomas today at a home, also believed to have been involved with that vehicle burglary. The third suspect in that burglary, Corey Banks, also 17, died at the hospital, shot by the victim in that alleged car burglary over on Hollywood. In Shreveport, Melissa Kakarika, KSLA News 12.
Our team coverage of this investigation does not end here. We'll continue our coverage on our KSLA News 12 mobile app. That's where you can find more about what happened at the scene. At the very latest, the arrest of that last suspect and apparently the passing of one of the other suspects that was shot. You just heard the news there. And statements and decisions made by Shreveport Mayor Ollie Tyler, placing the chief on leave.
Also, this just into the KSLA News 12 newsroom. The defense and state have rested their cases at a murder trial where a man is accused of killing his former girlfriend by slashing her throat. 29-year-old Kelvin Brown is on trial for a charge of second-degree murder. He's accused in the slaying of Alicia West. This was back in 2014. Brown will return to court Thursday for a possible decision. If convicted, he faces a mandatory life sentence. Developing now, at least 8 are dead and a suspect in custody tonight in New York near the World Trade Center Memorial. Police say a suspect drove a truck onto a bicycle path, hitting several people. They say the suspect then got out of the truck screaming and holding what appeared to be a fake gun. That's when police say they shot the suspect. They are investigating this as a deliberate act. We are following this story on KSLA.com and our KSLA News 12 mobile app. The VA is going high-tech following a trend in the private sector of healthcare. The Department of Veterans Affairs launched an interactive website that allows patients to check average wait times at facilities across the nation. Marie Waxel joins us now in the studio to explain a little more about how it works. So, Marie, how does it work?
Well, Dominique, really the interactive site is self-explanatory. All you have to do is open up the web page and then you plug in your information, your location, including your city, zip, state, full address, whatever you want, your radius, whether you want it 50 miles to 250 miles away, and then the clinic type. What's your primary care? Do you have a range of illness? Is it optometry? Is it dermatology, cardiology? And then are you a return appointment, new patient? And then again, you can sort by distance and facility name. Really, it's all right here at your fingertips. Again, as Dominique mentioned, it's an effort to streamline services and address options for care. Now, you can see here they say your average wait times are shown. The actual wait times may be shorter or longer. Again, this is depending on the day in each facility. They also have alternate options for other healthcare facilities and other treatments that may be available to you in your community. And we have a link to this webpage for you when you click on this story on our KSLA News 12 app. Now, speaking of veteran care, earlier today I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with the new director at Overton Brooks Medical Center here in Shreveport. We talked about everything from his past to his vision for the future.
We're a healthcare institution. We stand at the nexus and the crossroads of the most human experiences ever. This is where people experience grief, pain, shock, rage. They're at their most vulnerable when they come here, and we can't forget that.
Richard Crockett comes to Shreveport with 25 years of experience with the VA, and he's hit the ground running, bringing new ideas to the table.
It's a fresh start. I can ask questions nobody else has asked because I'm not used to some of the things here that I'm seeing.
Crockett came to the VA as a nurse, working his way through a majority of the departments and facilities across the country.
I can speak a lot of different languages because of that and have a little bit of understanding. I'll never quite understand what it's like to be a housekeeper or an engineer, but pretty close. And I know a lot of different things because I've worked a lot of different areas, and I love them.
After spending the last year in Shreveport, Crockett says he felt drawn to stay.
It's really the people that drew me here, and I wanted to be a part of the good things, truly, that I see for Shreveport. I put my career on the line for that, and it's the, like I said, it's the people. They just want to do the right thing. They have an amazing passion for what they do, for the veterans that are here.
Crockett's ready to face the good and the bad when it comes to ensuring quality of care.
There are a number of veterans as well that are happy with the care that they give, that are My concern as the CEO and as a human being is that we can't rest on our laurels. Just because the majority of the patients are happy, we can't ignore the ones that aren't. We can't. There's too much at stake for that. So that's my biggest concern, is that we only look at the good things and not the bad, or that we only look at the bad things. Because I will tell you, one of the things that concerns me is a person that loves veterans is when there are negative perceptions out there about the VA, it actually gets in the way of people getting the care that they need.
His focus is on streamlining care to fit individual needs.
We're more than a healthcare organization. In my mind, we are a special place that people should be able to come to and feel safe and feel comfortable. It's a sacred trust. I begged my own World War II veteran grandfather to come into our system, and he did, and he loved it. Are there challenges? Sure.
As Overton Brooks has taken the chance on him, he's now asking for the community to do the same.
Give us a chance and see for yourself. You earn that right. And there is no other organization on the planet that loves veterans more than we do.
And speaking of giving them a chance, there is an open house set for tomorrow. It begins at 10 o'clock in the morning and it will last until 12 noon. The public is welcome to come tour the facility and bring any questions you may have. And remember, if you are a veteran, they say you can also enroll in the system at that time as well.
KSLA Storm Tracker 12 weather. We track storms.
Well, good evening, everyone. Storm Tracker 12 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Castle here. Scattered rain continue to track into the Arklatex, and we're actually starting to pick up some heavier downpours in some parts of the area as well. Let's take you on a little bit of a radar tour here on Live First Alert Doppler, and some of those heavier downpours, they're now developing just north of Shreveport from near Benton back into parts of East Texas to just north of Wascom. And this rain, this heavier rain, kind of moving along the same zone here, so not really seeing it move out at the moment. So expecting to see these heavier downpours persist here, again, just north of Shreveport. Other areas of light to moderate rain continue to track into parts of southwest Arkansas. And we got another larger area of light to moderate rain coming out of the Tyler area. This will continue to sweep eastward through this evening, arriving in Harleton here in the next few minutes, Atlanta, Texas by 7:07. And we can expect some of this steadier rain into the Shreveport area by around 7:30 this evening. Your highest rain chances here through the evening hours, basically between Interstate 30 and the I-20 corridor. This is where we're going to see the most widespread rain and heavy downpour activity here for the next several hours. Back in a few moments, we're tracking the rain not only tonight but into tomorrow as well on the way in your forecast.
Convicted for domestic violence and many other felonies won't prevent hundreds of state inmates from walking out of Louisiana prisons beginning tonight at midnight. More than 60 could be released from Caddo Parish Prison alone. It's part of a new initiative designed to steer less serious offenders away from prison and reduce prison terms for those who can safely be supervised in the community. Only those who are currently serving a sentence who qualify for what's called non-violent, non-sex offenses qualify for this. Now, you may be surprised by what is and isn't considered a crime of violence under Louisiana law. KSLA investigates. Chief Investigative Reporter Stacey Cameron uncovers that answer, as well as inmates who are set to be freed. That's tonight on KSLA News 12 at 10.
Stingray, shrimp, and sea stars. These are just some of the marine life you will see when the Shreveport Aquarium opens tomorrow. Today we got one last look at the aquarium before it is set to open. The work has been underway at the location, which was the historic Barnwell Center for Mods. We caught up with one of the workers to get a little bit of a closer look as to what you'll see.
So you can see a little bit of everything here. We've got a small collection of freshwater fish from your local waterways and some saltwater animals from all over the world. We also have 3 really awesome touch tanks, so you can pet a stingray, get a manicure by some cleaner shrimp, and we have our cold water touch exhibit, so you can touch some sea stars and decorator crabs from the Oregon coast.
All right, never heard of cleaner shrimp. Well, I'll have to go and check them out.
It's better than dirty shrimp.
Right, we will have coverage tomorrow of the official opening. I can't wait.
Still to come, a picture of a man hits viral levels online. He's from Shreveport. It shows how he feels about a former NFL quarterback. Simple freedom of speech? The NAACP doesn't think so.
And a Shreveport woman is making a difference a half a world away. How you can help make an impact too.
And I'll have a closer look at our rain chances through tomorrow in your forecast after this break. Stay with us.
KSLA Storm Tracker 12 weather. We track storms.
Well, good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, Trick or Treats 2017 is looking wet for some of you. The rain is welcome to provide drought relief, but I guess if we had our choice, we would have liked to have moved it to a different day other than interfering with Halloween plans this evening. With that said, though, if you're going to be out and about, especially taking the kids trick-or-treating here in the next couple of hours, you will need a rain gear in many instances. Rain chances climbed around 50% by 8 o'clock, and they'll stay kind of in that range through the latter part of this evening. Temperatures, they're starting to cool down. Today was a cooler day for us, and through the evening hours, only expecting numbers in the low end of the 50s. So it's not just going to be wet and damp, it's going to be a little bit on the cool side as well. All right, let's talk about the rainfall. Here's the latest on Live First Alert Doppler. And unfortunately, between 4 o'clock when we were first on this afternoon and where we are now, the radar has continued to fill in here with the rainfall, and in some cases some heavier downpours. Starting to see some of that develop as well, especially north of Shreveport. Northern parts of Caddo and Bossier Parish now from near the state line back through the Benton area to near Plain Dealing. We are seeing some heavier downpours showing up here, so this is going to put down some rain, and a good bit of it in a very short period of time. Not really seeing this move a whole lot to the northeast, so this may kind of persist in this same general area for a little while longer, but we may see this develop a little bit more to the north and to the east towards Spring Hill and toward Cullen over the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. You can expect perhaps some heavier rain up in that direction coming in here very, very shortly. Around Shreveport and Bossier right now, just some light rain and some sprinkles at the moment. Light rain does continue here across southwest Arkansas, back toward Texarkana, moving east towards Stamps by 6:33. Magnolia, this will be coming in around 7:06, in addition to some showers that you already have around. And we're still monitoring a larger area of rain coming out of parts of north central Texas, raining pretty steadily from Henderson to Longview. This is now pushing into Marshall as we speak. Atlanta, Texas, this steadier rain will be coming in by 6:57, and into the Shreveport area, it looks like around 7:22. Let's take you through time here with Future Track. You'll see the rain continue to move on in this evening, and it's going to persist overnight tonight. So we're not going to see this let up. Again, it will be beneficial in terms of drought, but again, not the best timing with Halloween activities this evening. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Likely a wet start as we begin the day, and as we take you through time tomorrow, the rain activity will gradually taper off from northwest to southeast. By the end of the afternoon, may just be looking at a few isolated storms here across parts of Sabine and Natchitoches Parish, and it is possible we may get a stronger storm or two out of these. There is at least a lowest risk for perhaps some severe weather. Marginal, that's 1 on our scale from 1 to 5 here across the southeastern corner of the Arklatex. So that is something I'll be watching for you tomorrow afternoon. I don't think this is going to be something real widespread, but something that we will keep an eye on for you. Temperatures right now mostly in the 50s, although we have a band of 60s showing up from Hemphill to Natchitoches. Tomorrow will be a warmer day for us as that warmer air that we push to the south today does return back northward. Starting you in the low 60s around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I do expect most of us will be back somewhere in the lower and perhaps some mid-70s by tomorrow afternoon. Rain chances on you Wednesday, mostly in the morning, although again the southeast corner of the Arklatex may hang on to a couple isolated storms through the late afternoon hours. Thursday and Friday, rain chances drop back to around 20 to 30%, and those temperatures will be on the climb. We're talking low 80s. Heading into early November. That's a little unusual, not probably record territory, but maybe not too far off from that. Over the weekend, the rain chance down to around 10%. Those highs stay in the low 80s. And do want to remind you about the time change. We do fall back Saturday night into Sunday morning, which means your weekend will be 1 hour longer. Yes. Can I get a round of applause? But that does mean once we do the time change, sunset will be an hour earlier than it is.
Don't screw. I mean, you had us. You had me at longer.
Us with an hour longer.
You had me at an hour longer, then you messed the whole thing up. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
You're about to run another hour shorter. If you had any intentions on winning a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home in Stonewall, this is a beaut. It's part of our House for Hope giveaway. It happens this Friday. We've on the right side of your screen, that's the phone bank. It's open right now. Home Builders Association, they're answering your phone calls. On the left side of your screen, that's the house. It's in the Kathy Acres subdivision, 797-8222. Call that number, reserve your tickets to win. Yeah, tickets. You can reserve more than one. Again, we give it away live on the air on Friday afternoon. You'll be helping one of 4 charities: Community Renewal, Providence House, Hub Urban Ministries, and Holy Angels. Coming up at 6:30, we take a closer look at that house. Take you inside and everything.
I'm going to take these to my kids in our preschool.
Velma Kirksey-Tarver, the founder of Institute for Global Outreach, is headed to Africa, and she's taking lots of treats with her. Her nonprofit organization visits different villages of orphans, and they bring hope all the way from Louisiana. She will be taking backpacks, Happy Meal toys from McDonald's, and clothing, much of it donated. Velma hasn't been to Africa in 2.5 years because of the conflict in the area, but she says she is anxious to get back.
First of all, a lot of my children are orphans, and they see me as their mother. And when I come, they're so excited, first of all, to see someone that cares about them. See, it's more than just backpacks or even food and water or food and clothing or housing. It's about making that connection to that child, to show this child that someone cares about them.
And more than 20,000 children die in poverty each year in the world. You can help by becoming a sponsor for one of these children in Africa. You will receive their profile, report cards, and a personal letter from them.
Ahead, well, are you for or against Arkansas raising the speed limit on some of their highways? We'll tell you how you can voice that opinion straight ahead.
With coverage you can count on. This is KSLA News 12.
All right, you still have a chance right now to vote and voice, really, your opinion on what you think about raising the speed limit in Arkansas on some highways. Should it be increased? The State Department of Transportation has opened a 45-day comment period. It opened a public comment period. It began yesterday. Legislators this year earlier approved raising the highway, the interstate speeds, that is, to 75 if it can be done safely. Again, you can go to their website to voice your opinion.
Do you know a veteran you believe is a hero for their service? Well, here's your chance to help recognize them for our Hero of the Day salute. Just visit our KSLA app and find the Hero of the Day tab under the main menu. Submit a photo and a brief bio. And then every night at 6 o'clock, you can tune in, and then on the weekends at 10 throughout November as we salute the men and women who served our country. Costume controversy. This costume worn by a man at a Bossier casino is causing quite a stir all over social media. We take a closer look at why.